Game one of NBA is tomorrow. Real quickly, we're just starting to see more balance. That's why I wanted to bring that up before we dive into today's baseball. How it was all Indiana early. Since then, it's kind of slowed down, and you're starting to see more two-way action, like a lot more balance. It kind of reminds me of the Super Bowl, where you have that 2-week break, and after the end of the first week, it's always one-sided. Like you'll hear the books always say, oh, if Team A wins, it's going to be a bad Super Bowl for us. But by the end of the second week, because everyone has opinion on that game, it gets closer to 50-50. It always does. And we're starting to see that even with this game. Now, as far as the series, that's just not the case because Oklahoma City's such heavy chalk for the series. Not many recreational bettors want to put up 5, 6, 700 to win 100, but they are willing to put up 100 to win 4 or 5. You know, they like to put up a little money to win a lot, but they're not comfortable putting up a lot to win a little. And because of that, the series line is still completely one-sided as far as the money is going, all on the Indiana side. But again, a lot more balance on the first game and a lot more balance on the first game total. Couple baseball moves for you guys. Nothing yet in college baseball. I checked before I jumped on. I'll check again when I finish reading these off. But here's some college baseball that we got into immediately. Been betting since last night. 954 Cincinnati at -120. 957 Arizona Atlanta under 8 up to -130. So they didn't go under 7.5, but they laid up the -130 to go under 8. LA Boston, they must be expecting a lot of runs and wind must be blowing out because after going over 9.5 up to -130 last night, they went over 10 up to -130 as well, which is why you're seeing 10.5s on the board right now. So a lot of runs expected in Boston. 971 Baltimore +120 down to +110. Minnesota juiced from 140, 150, 160. They just kept betting Minnesota. Same thing with the Phillies. Took them as a dog, then laid small chalk on the Phillies as well. Another dog for you, Colorado +140. And then in Texas and Tampa Bay, they went under 8.5 and under 8 in Texas and Tampa Bay. So already busy in Major League Baseball. Hopefully college baseball starts coming in as well. Yesterday, I didn't bet a single college baseball game. Didn't get anything that really confirmed because, again, there's a lot of manipulation going on. A lot of scalps are set up. When the lines move so significantly like they do in college baseball, and then it's a time of the year where you're also getting even recreational bettors involved because early on they weren't. But now, you know, everybody's talking college baseball, so you do have books writing also action from more recreational bettors. And because of that, I saw like a lot of scalps being set up. I saw a lot of like middles on totals, nothing really confirmed. Hopefully that changes today. But like I said, so far, nothing in college baseball. It's been all Major League Baseball as we await the NBA Finals to begin tomorrow.
And let's do some free plays all around the world here. A lot of these can be found on the WagerTalk free picks page. There's a lot of them up today, a lot of them in baseball. So if you're looking for free plays in baseball, go check that out. We'll take a look at Tokyo Brandon Ryan. I believe it's Gusto over 1.5 walks. Brandon talks about he's walked 2 or more in 6 straight starts. You're getting reasonable juice on that one. So Ryan Gusto, I believe, over 1.5 walks. Andrew's got a CFL play up. That's right. It's CFL season. This is another one of these beatable markets. Elks versus Lions over 48.5. Last 3 meetings between these two have gone over 50. Elks improved their quarterback and receivers, but not their defense, and their defense gave up 29.6 points per game per season. And the Lions, they have a new coach, very aggressive coach. Nathan Rourke's their quarterback. He averaged 300 yards passing. Look for this to be a high-tempo pace game. Take the over 48.5. If you have blocks in NHL, this is a little bit of an obscure prop. Jake Wallman, defenseman for Edmonton, over 2.5 blocks, over in 4 straight games, 9 out of the last 13. Matthew Barnaby has talked about this. You can look at some of these props when you go deeper into the playoffs. Guys are selling out to block shots on defense, plays you wouldn't normally make in the regular season, but now it's Stanley Cup. These guys are going to go all out for the blocks. And who are the Elks? Bruce says, who are the Elks? The Edmonton Elks. This is Canadian Football League. The Canadian Football League should be available on all your books. And Bruce, this is a gettable sport. This is the lines are soft. There's not a lot of attention on it. You can find some really, really good gems in CFL. So CFL stands for Canadian Football League. So you're looking at the Edmonton Elks and the BC Lions. And Leg Show Magazine, I'll give you a little credit. Nerfy, no run first inning in the early game. Rockies, Marlins. First bet of the day. What could go wrong? Well done. So, yeah, those are some free plays. Gusto over 1.5 walks. Canadian Football League, Elks versus Lions over 48.5. Jake Wallman over 2.5 block shots. And Leg Show Magazine's giving us the Rocky Marlins, no run in the first inning. And his analysis is first bet of the day, what could go wrong? Absolutely fantastic.
There have previously been only 6 teams to make an NBA Finals with preseason championship odds of 30-1 or greater. None of those 6 won the finals. The Pacers' preseason win total, this is obviously somewhat correlated with their championship odds, but the Pacers' preseason win total, 46.5. There have been 7 teams to make an NBA Finals with a preseason win total that low. Again, none of the 7 won the finals. A moment ago, I mentioned the Thunder's odds to win the series. There have previously been 11 instances of a team opening minus 600 or greater to win an NBA Finals. Only once. It was the 2004 Lakers. That was when Shaq and Kobe, I believe, had their implosion. That was the only team that did not win the series when opening minus 600 or greater. And Indiana is just the 7th team, Andy, I'm sure you know this following the team, just the 7th team ever to win both its conference semifinal and conference final as a series underdog. Of the previous 6, only one, the 1995 Rockets, went on to win the NBA Finals. So history is certainly not smiling on the Pacers to win this series, but what about covering the spread in Game 1? Well, I regret to inform you, Andy, that Game 1 underdogs of the NBA Finals, a terrible 2-18 straight up, 3-17 against the spread the last 20 years. So really, there's just not a lot that you can hang your hat on, I guess, historically, if you're a Pacers fan. By the way, P.S., those aforementioned 2004 Lakers are the only one of 10 teams to be a favorite of at least 8 points in Game 1 and not go on to win the series. So unless if you're the 2004 Lakers, apparently, favorites, you don't want to say it's all over, but the shouting, these Pacers have certainly defied the odds so far. But the too long didn't read version of all this, I guess, Andy, is that Indiana may be in some trouble, at least historically speaking. Shout out to Bet Labs, by the way, for all of those trends that I went through. I thought that they were quite interesting and worth sharing because I think we all agree Oklahoma City is a deservedly big favorite. But, the numbers really speak that they deserve to be a big favorite.
What's liability? Is there a bunch of public money? Some sharps hit you up real good? Where can we beat Art to Caesar?
You know what, Andy? If it's not broke, what do they say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going with the Oilers again. They're on the Oilers. We opened the Oilers on the series minus 115, and we've gotten as high as minus 130 now this morning on the Oilers. So a 15-cent move there. And the public and the sharps are both on the Oilers. It's odd, though. Game 1 has kind of gone a little bit opposite. Like, we open Edmonton at home minus 120, got to as high as $1.25, and now we're back to $1.13 this morning. Now, a lot of that has to do with we deal a 10-cent line, so we're going to have the fairest line in hockey out there. So we're going to get pretty good two-way action on that. But despite Game 1 coming down, the series has gone up. It usually doesn't correlate that way.
Want to get your opinion on the Astros and Pirates. Pirates dropped first game of the series, and this poor Skeens, like, he's so good, but you look at his record, and you're like, what does he suck? And it's like, no, he went 8 innings, 8 innings, 1 run allowed, and lost. So, all right, so what are we doing with the Astros and the Pirates today?
Yeah, you prefaced this by saying we got a couple good games. I don't know if this one falls under that category, other than the fact that Houston's just a minus 125 money line favorite, but I'm going to focus in on the total here, and it's ironic you just had Art Caesar on, and he just had a question about the public being baited by a line or a total. And I looked at this, and I saw a total of 9, and the fact that Pittsburgh can't hit their way out of a paper bag this season, and the Astros aren't exactly tearing the cover off the ball. But yet, we're looking at a total of 9, and we're looking at a 3-0 game yesterday. But here's when you look inside the numbers, specifically when you look at the pitching numbers for both teams. Ryan Gusto gets a start for the Astros. Terrible form over his last 4, Andy, with an 8.56 ERA, a 2.19 WHIP, and he allowed 4 home runs in 13 2/3 innings pitched. All 4 of his starts have gone 4 innings or fewer, so he hasn't been able to get beyond the 4th inning. And that, all in all, with those numbers, it's easy to see he's struggling. The Houston bullpen over the last 6 games, even though they're coming off a shutout win yesterday, their bullpen over the last 6 games, 11.29 ERA and a 1.96 WHIP. So you couple the fact with a struggling starting pitcher, a starting pitcher that doesn't give you a lot of innings over his last 4 starts, and a bullpen that struggled mightily, although 3 to 6 games, those numbers have been askew because of that. But having said that, it's a dangerous combination when you're expecting even a team like Pittsburgh not to put up some run production tonight. Michael Burrows makes just his 3rd start of the season. His first 2, both games went over the total. In those 2 outings, a 10.13 ERA and a 1.62 WHIP, 3 home runs allowed in 8 innings pitched. And the Pittsburgh bullpen that has struggled for the majority of the year, at least, I guess, if at the very best, they're below average. And over their last 5 games, a lofty 6.10 ERA from the bullpen staff of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm going to go Astros and Pirates over the total of 9. And this is one of those plays, Andy, you know yourself, that's in order to be successful, sometimes you have to make that uncomfortable pick, uncomfortable bet. And that's one of those this is one of those situations.
Let's break down Guardians and Yankees. We got Ortiz for Cleveland, I believe, and Schmidt for the Yankees. How do you see this game going?
Well, I started handicapping this game, and I, a lot of people like to look at how a starting pitcher does against a specific team, and that's a good starting point. But what I like to look at is I look at the current roster of each team, okay? Because personnel changes on an annual basis. And when I looked at the current rosters of both teams against both of these starting pitchers, they've had a lot of success against Luis Ortiz and also Clark Schmidt. Let's start with Paul Goldschmidt. Against Ortiz, he's gone 7 for 10 lifetime, 700 batting average, hit 2 doubles, walked twice. So I'm going to go with Goldschmidt, 2 or more total bases at money line odds of plus 110. Stephen Kwan against Clark Schmidt. Stephen Kwan, I think he's one of the more underrated hitters in all of baseball, and he's especially been tough against Clark Schmidt. 6 for 12 lifetime, 500 team batting average, or 500 batting average with a double and 2 walks. So I'm going to go here, Stephen Kwan, 2+ total bases at money line odds of plus 130. And then we're going to go to Kyle Mazzardo, who's scheduled. I looked at the expected lineups today, and he's slotted as the cleanup hitter today for Cleveland. He against Clark Schmidt. Manzardo has had a ton of success. Not a ton of success. It's a short sample size, but being that, he's 3 for 5 in his career against Schmidt. 600 batting average, 2 home runs, and 1 walk. I'm going to take a shot here with Manzardo, and we're going to probably need a long ball out of him, but I think he's capable of doing so based on this short sample size. Manzardo, 2+ total bases at money line odds of plus 155. So there you have it. I mean, 3 player props, all total base player props, and all plus money.